back. Well, I'm talking to myself. Welcome back to me. I've had a whole bunch of seminars and work, and actually the man flu. If you're unfamiliar with the man flu, it's something that men get that's a lot worse than anything that a woman would have to experience. I like to consider the comparison of childbirth, but worse. So it's very fortunate that women don't have to experience this. So I'm happy to take that on for our women, but that's what I've had. So it's been pretty bad. Either way, I've had a month off training. Please don't get upset, women out there, I'm joking. Anyhow, maybe I'm not. Today is my first squat session back.
Forgot to put the mic on.
Fuck. Life has gotten in the way. A little bit of sickness, a little bit of work, but it's been about a month since I've gotten under a barbell and squatted. I've been doing some work with the little time that I've had, mostly leg presses and exercises where I can just get a little bit of volume in and go about my day. My sessions have been very short. Like this happens very frequently. People do things like go on holidays or get sick and have to take time off their training. And a very common question that I'm asked is, how do I come back and build back as much strength as possible so that I can pick up where I left off? Airplane. And I'm gonna show you my favorite strategy that I use to build back my strength as quickly as possible. I have done upper body. I think upper body is a pretty easy way to build back strength. One of the biggest things that I believe that you lose, especially if you're a squatter, especially if you love doing powerlifting style movements. If you're a bodybuilder and you do tons of machines and all that stuff, it's a lot easier. But one of the things that you lose conditioning with your barbell movements is the spine loading. So axial load is a thing that you need to condition your body for. If I haven't squatted heavy in a while and I come under a barbell and it's heavy, it's very, very hard. As opposed to if I'm on a nice long phase of barbell squatting and I've been doing that for months. Typically I come under heavy barbells and it's like, I don't know what the problem was. Why was I complaining that it was so hard? This is easy. And that's a big part of it. Your body may be strong, but the conditioning for that spine load is just not there. So that's how it is when you take significant amount of time off. Like I said, for me, it's been about a month since I've done a barbell squat. I just know what's ahead of me. And that is, if I try and go heavy today, it's just not going to work. It's going to feel terrible. It's going to be disheartening. And it's just going to throw me off. It's just going to make me feel terrible. So whenever I take time off, I come in and I just know that I'm not going to try and push as hard as I can. But I've got this strategy that I've developed over the years that works very, very well. And I'm going to teach it to you too. I wouldn't call it wave loading strategy. Wave load means you go up and down and up and down. This one is just upwards. So here's the strategy. I choose a weight that I should be able to do for about 5 reps. And I know that it's going to be hard, but I should be able to do it. It's like I know that's what my general level of strength is. But instead of coming in and just going straight for 5 reps, it's kind of like, testing the waters. You come in and you dip your toes in to see how cold it is. I'm going to come in and I'll do one set. The first set is going to be a single to get a feel for that weight. And then I'm going to have a rest period. My rest is probably going to be around 4 to 5 minutes. And then the next set, I'm going to do a set of 2 with the same weight. Rest 4 to 5 minutes. Come in, do a set of 3 with the same weight. It's all the same weight. Same rest, come in, set 4 reps, and then I finish on that set of 5. So the idea of it, and from experience, the first set of 1 is really, really hard because you're kind of choosing a weight that you know you can get, but you've lost the conditioning for. So you come in and you do a heavy single and it's way heavier than what you expected. Except I expect it because I've been there, done that. I've been training for over 2 decades at not the same level, but I've learned a lot in that time. And that's what I'm going to do today. So the first question we ask is, how heavy do we go? Well, before this break, I was able to do, I don't want to say comfortably, but sets of 220 kilograms for 5 reps. So there's no way I expect to be at that level, but I would love to get back to that level. So what I consider is if you've taken time off and you were able to do a weight like that, so 220, I think I should be able to do 180 kilograms for 5. So that's what my goal is today, right? I should be able to do it, but I know it's hard. And if I work towards just coming in on set 1, doing a set of 5 on 180, it's going to feel terrible. So I'm going to use that strategy. Right now, you're going to watch me warm up to a single of 180 and then a double of 180, a triple, 4, and then 5, and that's going to be my session. Hopefully. I don't know how it's going to go, but you'll find out at the same time as me. I'm hoping that by the time I come to the 5th set, I'm able to do 180 kilograms for 5. Then I'm gonna sit down and talk to you guys how I'm gonna create a strategy to use that base level of strength, which is 5 reps on 180, to build back to my pre-holiday, pre-sickness, pre-break strength, which is 220 kilograms for 5. Let's get into it. All right, so check me out with all my equipment, all the gear and no idea. And a question that my videographer asked is, are you using the belt straight away? I am, but not here. So I just have the belt on my entire session and it's on the loosest setting. So it's not really on, but I just keep all of my equipment on. I don't know, it's just what I do. And then as I get heavier and heavier, I go tighter and tighter with the equipment. I just did my last warm-up set. That was 160 kilograms for 1. I record myself while I'm doing it. You guys know that about me. And something that I'm observing is it looks really easy, but it doesn't feel so easy because it's been a while. So 160, it really should be easy, but the feeling that I have is when I unrack it, it's like it's a shock to my body. It feels way heavier than what 160 should really feel like. So I'm anticipating that 180 obviously is gonna feel heavy, which is why I don't want to do a set of 5 now. It feels like it would be too heavy for me to do it now. So anyway, that's why it's a nice little reintroduction. I'm gonna do 1 rep and I'm anticipating that it's gonna feel heavy, but it probably won't look as hard as, it'll probably look easy actually, but probably won't feel easy. We'll see. You know, it's hard to sound too impressed by that lift. That should be very easy for me. However, I expected it to be hard. Kind of, it wasn't, easy, but it was easier than I expected. So we're off to a good start. I think I was even being a little bit conservative when I said 180. So I think, 5 reps on this, I'm gonna do. But that's another part of your first session back after a little bit of time off, is it should be conservative. In my experience, here's the next thing, especially when it comes to squats. If you've taken significant time off squatting, it doesn't matter how heavy you go or how much volume you do, the leg soreness the next day is way more than what it normally is. So a question that Musti, my videographer, asked me, he said, are we doing accessories afterwards? And I said, not for quadriceps. That's the simple answer, and that's my rule. No accessories for quadriceps. Do the main work for the quadriceps, keep the volume low, keep the intensity low, and then walk away feeling like you could have done more. Yes, I will do accessories, but it's going to be opposing muscle. So I'll do hamstring curls because I'm not going to be exhausted after this, but I don't want to accumulate more volume in my quadriceps after this because I just know what will happen is if I do, I'll probably be in pain and it'll interfere with my next sessions, it'll interfere with my other training, and I don't like that soreness. Muscle soreness isn't the indication of a successful session. Sometimes it's a great indicator that you've hit the target muscles, so sometimes people say things like, I just don't feel it in my glutes, or I don't feel my pecs working when I'm doing this exercise, and then, I've got some strategies where I give you specific exercises that really target the glutes, increase the volume, increase the intensity, so that you intentionally have soreness in that particular muscle the following day, so that you feel like, oh, okay, now I understand that those muscles are absolutely being used, and it gives people the confidence that the training is going in the right direction and they're hitting the exact muscles that they want to be hitting. That's where muscle soreness, that's what I consider as a great tool for where muscle soreness is a successful strategy. But apart from that, muscle soreness doesn't mean you've achieved more muscle hypertrophy. It didn't make you build more muscle. A lot of people think, and this is a bit of a myth that's been debunked, that muscle damage one of the main mechanisms of muscle building or muscle hypertrophy, where you do a session, the muscles break down, that's what causes the pain, and then they repair and get bigger. That's a myth. The main mechanism of muscle building is mechanical tension, airplane. And that's achieved by taking a significant load to a close proximity to failure. So when you're doing a set and you're starting to slow down because those last few reps are getting really, really hard, the closer you get to failure, the more mechanical tension's created. So that's the tension, that's the main mechanism of hypertrophy, not the muscle damage. So if you train every session and you think that muscle soreness is what you need to be working towards, you don't. It's better to avoid it if you can. For me, the rest time is 4 to 5 minutes. I don't feel fatigued. So when I'm going my super, super heavy sessions, I'm taking up to 8 minutes. And I get so many comments where people are saying, how do you need 8 minutes and all these things? Well, when it comes to strength at high levels, 8 minutes is an advantage. Firstly, it's an advantage. It gives you a full recovery, especially when you're lifting super, super heavy loads. Secondly, if you're a power lifter, that's how long you're resting, 8 to 10 minutes usually. That's how long you're resting in between attempts. You don't have a timer saying, okay, I'm ready to go. You go when the refs and the competition says you're going. So usually if you've got like 10 lifters in a flight, it takes on average about a minute between each attempt. So every lifter takes a minute to do their lift. So if there's 10 lifters before you, that's a 10-minute rest in between sets. So those of you who think 10 minutes, you're going to cool down and all these things, well, interestingly, that's not what happens in powerlifting competition. You don't cool down. That's where people set world records. So objectively, that much rest period, especially at high levels, isn't too much rest, and it can actually be very beneficial. But today, I'm not maxing out. I'm not going super heavy. I like about 4 to 5 minutes rest. Yeah, that felt comfortable.
Can I ask you a question? Many people put weight or lose weight during the holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A big difference in terms of lifting.
Yeah, so weight loss, that's another question, and funny you say that. Let's go for a walk and see how much I weigh. I've been intentionally being a little bit more sensible with my calories that I'm consuming because my output isn't as high. The last month I haven't been training as hard as I normally have, so therefore I haven't been consuming the same amount of calories. Check that out. 99.5 with all my equipment on, no belt, but I've got these knee sleeves and shoes are pretty heavy. Man, that's the first time I've been under 100 kilograms in, I don't remember, many, many, many years. So, did that affect my strength? Absolutely. But I expect that, I'll be able to put it on very quickly again. So I know exactly how to do it. I've restricted my calories intentionally because I didn't want to carry around or put on body fat while I was not training as hard. So I reduced my calories, but now that I know that I am training again with purpose and I have the time to allocate to my weights training, I'll increase my calories again. And I'm certain, I don't want to be that much more than 100. I've been kind of in between 100 and kind of like 102, that's my sweet spot. So right now, that said 99.5 fully clothed, I would say, first thing in the morning, I've had a whole bunch of fluids as well. First thing in the morning, I'd say I'd be closer to, definitely a kilogram lighter than that. So I'm in the 98s right now. Therefore, my strength definitely takes a hit. If you lose weight, it's not guaranteed that all of that weight is fat loss. So ideally, you want it all to be fat loss, but I'll tell you right now, I've lost some muscle. I've lost some muscle, a little bit of water, and of course, a little bit of fat as well. But yes, that interferes with my performance, which is another reason why I'm not coming in and trying to push it and go as hard as I can. That's how you set yourself up for failure. And I don't like that feeling. I want to set myself up conservatively. I want to walk away from today's session feeling like I could have done more. And then this week, I'm sensible with my nutrition. I eat a little bit more calories, and then I come in next week stronger. And that's when I'm gonna, like right now, I'm contemplating my strategy for my program to get myself back to 220 for 5 as soon as possible. I do want to build back the strength. There's a cool saying from, I believe the guy's name is Andre de Shields. And he says, slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. So a lot of the times people want to rush. When they come back, they want their results real bad. And I get it, so do I. But I understand the process. And as a result of coming in and pushing too hard, too fast, you know, if I have leg soreness, it's going to interfere with the rest of my training for the week. I'm going to have an ineffective week. So in my experience, that principle, slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. Come in, conservative, and allow room to take more aggressive jumps from week to week. So if I'm here hitting 180 kilograms for 5 today and it's comfortable, I know that next week I'll be stronger because I'll be eating to fuel for performance. I'll be eating in a little bit of a calorie surplus. 180 for 5 this week, I could very easily see a roadmap where I go 190 for 5 next week, 200 for 5 the following week, 210 for 5 the following week, and then on week 4, back to where I was, 220 for 5. And that's, in the scheme of things, a 4-week program to get to where I was before I left off. I think that's a successful strategy. Set 3. Honestly, it's feeling easier and easier.
It looks easier and easier.
Yeah, I feel like the last rep of each set is just coming up, and I know, I'll tell you my thought process, and it's probably the same as you. It's like, why are you doing such light weight? That's easy. I look at it as like, I should have gone heavier. No, that's the point. Start conservative. Give yourself room to progress. If you walk out of this session feeling like you could have done more, guess what you get to do next week? You get to go more, right? So now I'm going to come in next week with confidence that when I put 190 on that bar, it's probably going to look very similar, which is going to give me confidence for the next week to do 200, and so on and so forth. That's the idea of it. Set yourself up to be able to progress. One of the biggest mistakes, if you've been following me for long enough, you know I keep on preaching this. I consider this to be my hack for long-term progression, is to stop training as hard as you can every single time you come into the gym. I'm not saying don't train to fail. Yes, train to fail sometimes. Not all the times. Set yourself up with a strategy. And what is that strategy? My strategy is a 4-weekly program where week 1 of every program I start conservative. How conservative? Roughly RPE 7. What does RPE 7 mean? It's subjective, and some of you at home are saying, RPE is wrong, it's bullshit. I know, nothing's perfect, but roughly give yourself an average of kind of like RPE 7, you could say that's 3 reps in reserve on average. I'm walking away feeling like I could have done more. Next week, I work a little bit harder, RPE 8. Add a little bit of weight to the bar. The next week, RPE 9. So I'm getting closer and closer to that feeling of working to my limits on week 3. And then on week 4, so my goal is on week 4 to come in and hit that 220. And I'm planning for it to be pretty tough. So that's my kind of like my send it week. Come in and I hit the goal that I wouldn't be able to do 220 for 5 today. That's me overshooting it. But in 4 weeks, I'm confident, like now that I'm feeling this, it's like, I just know the process. In 4 weeks, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get the 220 for 5 on week 4. Now here's the next thing. I'm planning for it to be around RPE 10, but guess what? If it's RPE 8 or 9, awesome. Even better. Then I come in for the next program with a nice base, knowing that 220 for 5 is easy peasy, and then I continue to work forward. So it's better to be a little bit conservative and have more in the tank than to be a little bit greedy and fail reps, break down technique, and make it difficult to progress from week to week. Next set, 4 reps, set 4. Feeling better and better every set. Unracking the weight isn't a shock anymore, like it was on the first set. My last warm-up, 160, unracking the weight felt heavy on my body, but now it's just, I'm back in the game. My body's, conditioned that quickly to accept weight and, spine load, even though it's not as heavy as I've been. Everything's going to plan. Well, not really. I didn't know how it was going to end. I didn't know if I was going to get 5. I didn't know if it was going to be easy. I was pretty confident. It's like, I know I can get 180 for 5, but I thought it was going to be damn hard because I haven't done it in a while. But it was damn easy. Okay. Easy day. Man. Could have done 10. So that means I undershot it for sure. But I didn't know what to expect. I just know that I like to set myself up. So it is a conservative session, and that gives me a ton of confidence to approach next week, go heavier, and I know what to expect. So probably been giving you the answers as we've been speaking. So I think that's what my strategy is going to be. 190 for fives next week, 200 for fives the following, 210 the following, and then on week 4 is 220 for 5. That's back to where we were. Now, how many sets of 5 and all of those things? I mean, there's a few ways of doing it. You know, at this level, I don't like, here's an interesting one. A typical strength program is 5 sets of 5. And that's where I first started in my journey for strength. The first time I got strength programmed for me by a strength coach, it was 5 sets of 5. And that was unfamiliar to me. I was used to doing things like 3 sets of 8 or 10 or 12, bodybuilder style. That's how I used to train. And then when I saw 5 by 5, the rationale was, you know, it's the same reps as, you know, 3 by 8. But instead of doing 3 by 8 on a lighter weight, we do less reps and we spread that load over multiple sets. So if anything, you're actually doing more volume. And I looked at that and it's like, wow, what a great way of training. Why would you ever do sets of 8 or 10 when you can do less reps, heavier load, and then do more sets of it? And then I got to the point, I mean, I wasn't that strong then. So back then, my 1RM would have been about 180 kilograms. So I say it wasn't that strong, still kind of strong, but not compared to now. Like recently, my best squat's been 300 kilograms raw. So that means with knee sleeps. Now, very big difference at this level of strength is the stronger you get, here's a rule that you can take to the bank. The stronger you get, the less total volume you should be performing, because every set is a lot more fatiguing. I'm a lot better at recruiting more of my max, my high threshold motor units. So my nervous system is a lot more advanced now that I'm a lot stronger than when I was not as strong. And it's not as if you just keep on getting stronger and your energy levels are the same. You've got a better ability to recruit your muscle fibers, or a higher percentage of your muscles and your nervous system. And therefore, you're stronger per repetition, but you have a better ability of using more of your body, which is fatiguing. So the point to what I'm saying is the stronger you get, the less total volume you should be performing. So at the highest level, you know, I typically don't get any of my strength athletes doing more than 3 sets of 5 on anything, and quite commonly it's even less than that. Like it's 1 to 3 sets of 5 is the upper limit. And one of my favorite strategies is actually a top set back down set. I don't know what you're saying, Musti?
We have a full video about...
Right, yeah. We've got a full video on top set back down set. That's what you're saying. He was doing that. I'm like, I don't know what that means, brother. Yeah, we've got a full video on top set back down set, but I could very comfortably say that that's all I really need to do is a top set back down set of, you know, 1 top set of 5 on 190 with some accessory and other exercise. And that's probably what I'm gonna do, top set back down set. And there's a lot of strategies with the back down sets as well, such as a lighter weight of the same style of exercise. And another strategy that I have is you do the top set with the really high, heavy demanding exercise, and then your back down work is just accessory exercises. So something that I love is stiletto squat. So I could do top set of 5 of my low bar squat, which is, you know, the heavy work, and then I'll do back down work on stiletto squat. So top set of 5 at 190, and then maybe 3 by 5 on a stiletto squat, or 2 sets of 5 on a stiletto squat with a significantly lighter load, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Anyway, that's enough. This is the session. It's 1 to 5. Try that if you've ever taken significant time, particularly for lower body. So squats and deadlift, this program works very well. Upper body, it's not the same thing. You're not as shocked when you come under a heavier load. You're not as strong, obviously, but it's not the same feeling. I am gonna do accessories, but I'm not gonna touch my quads. I'm gonna do hamstring curls. And that's all. I'm walking away knowing that I could have done more. And then next week, I'm gonna start reintroducing a few more quadricep accessories, because right now, you know, I think I'll walk in, you know, tomorrow I'll have a little bit of tenderness in my legs, but you saw the degree of ease that I performed. I know that I'm not going to be limping around because I did too much work. And if I could give you any recommendation, it would be that. Week 1, if you've taken significant time off from direct quadricep work, it's just one of those muscles that the pain is just not worth it. I did bench press 2 days ago and I'm tight, as you can see, getting under the barbell. That's what makes me especially tight for a low bar squat. But I did a little bit more volume than what I did today because the pec soreness isn't debilitating. But certain muscles, like the quadriceps, is debilitating. Don't let it interfere with successful sessions in the week. So I know that I'll come into my deadlift day feeling pretty good, feeling pretty fresh, actually. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to do some hamstring curls. I'll probably do 3 sets of 8, nothing crazy, and you don't need to watch that. So that's me done. I hope you enjoyed today's session. I hope if you're not already subscribed to me, click subscribe and click like and all of those things so that you can get more value. All I do is come in here and talk about my sessions and all of the tips and secrets that I use to build strength. If you don't know who else I've worked with, I'm the coach for Thor Bjornsson, to put it simply. I've coached many high-level athletes with different sports as well, rugby, MMA, UFC fighters, but I guess the most accomplished athlete is the world's strongest man. I'm a strength coach and I've coached the strongest man on the planet. So that's kind of why you should listen to me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's session. See you next time. But there's a difference with the tapering. It's tight around the knee and it flares up for the quad and flares out for the calf, which I prefer. Oh, you want to see the barbell mark? So this is something that I was regretting. I didn't even think about it. I thought I'm going to wear, you know, my sleeveless, which, come and check this out. This is my new Alico barbell. Now, this is a powerlifting bar, and if you felt this, this is a weightlifting bar, and the difference between the two is the aggressive knurling, so it's a lot more grippy. This is smoother barbell, so having this on your skin is totally fine. Having this on your skin can rip you up, but lucky it was a light session. So when I go super heavy, there's a little bit more bar movement. It slides a little bit. I try and stick it into my back as hard as I can, but when it's heavier, sometimes it just moves a little bit. When there's more weight moving just a little bit, it'll rip your skin off. So, I don't know. You tell me, is there red marks on the back of the delts? Yeah, there you go. I mean, it feels okay, but if I went heavier than that, usually I just do t-shirts. That's my recommendation. If you're going to do low bar squats, use t-shirts.
I was going to ask you a question, like,
yeah, bro.
If someone doesn't listen to you and they fucking fail their first session in,
yeah.
what would you do? Like, how do you...
All right, that's a good question because it happens a lot, and it's happened to me before, and you're not a bad person if that's you, but that's where I've created this strategy to teach people to start conservative, which a lot of people have to build trust. It's like, no, I'm not training hard enough to get results. I'm going to go backwards and all this. No, you're not. But anyway, if that does happen, so this is where I consider it to be an error, and this is why a lot of people plateau. So what happens if you fail the first session? There's a few things, like let's just use this weight as an example. What would I have done today if 180 was too much for 5 reps? Well, I'd reset my following 4 weeks. That's the first thing that I would do. I'd say that's too heavy, and I guess 220 on the final week isn't the number that I'm going for. So I'm just going to have to reset my expectations. So I lower my expectations. So we've got 2 options. One, what do I do next week? Depends on how hard it was. Try and do the same weight, but actually not miss the reps. So that's one approach, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of any of the approaches, but these are the approaches that I would take. So choose the same weight and try not to fail on the next week. You know, the problem with that is I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be a high RPE, which means if I do that same weight and don't fail the following week, where do I go to the week after that? I know it's going to be a struggle. Every week I'm going to come in and struggle. The alternative is to come in next week with a reduced load and start again. So I'd say if I failed 180 on week 1, I'd say that was way too heavy. Don't fail, leave repetitions in reserve. I'd come back next week and go maybe 160 and then go once. So set myself up again to start conservative, 160, 170, and then on week 3, come in and reattempt that 180, and then week 4, go for a 190. So they're the 2 options. Neither of them I like. My preference is to start conservative in the first place, which takes experience, I guess, and a little bit of maturity to understand that you don't have to be going to failure, especially on these big movements. Now, here's another thing. A lot of people say you should be training failure every session. Now, that's something that I talk a lot about is every exercise comes with a different profile. And here's a recommendation that you can take with you to make sure that you succeed moving forward. If you're doing a barbell squat, bench press, deadlift, these big, heavy free weight exercises, leave a rep to 3 in reserve every time you do it. And then if you're fearful that you're going to miss out on some gains by not going to failure, use accessory exercises to go to failure. So I'm not going to do more quad work. You know that I'm not. But I would go, okay, cool, I had plenty of repetitions in reserve. Let's use accessory exercises like our leg press or even a leg extension and take those movements to failure. What's going to happen? What's the worst that could happen if I take those movements to failure? Not much. I mean, you know, leg press, I don't want to say that it's impossible to injure yourself on a leg press, but I usually use reps of about, 12 reps and upwards on a leg press. And that has a very low risk of injury. And there's pretty much no risk of technical breakdown in any of the machine exercises. There's a lot of risk of technical breakdown in your free weight exercises. This is where the skill is. You want to refine the skill with good technique. There's not much skill in leg press. There's not much skill in leg extension. So different rules apply for different exercises. Free weight exercises, leave repetitions in reserve. Still work hard, but leave repetitions in reserve. And then if you fear that you're not getting the most out of your session because you're not taking anything to fail, choose accessory exercises that are far less complex, like machine work. Take them to fail all you like. You're fine. I've had a really successful session. I've done great sets. I can walk away saying, good, I'll move forward next week. Anything I do on top of this is a bonus. I guess that's a long-winded answer to your simple question, which was, what if we fail on week 1? So let's come back to what that answer is. If you fail on week 1, what are your options for week 2? Repeat the same weight and try not to fail? That's hard, and I don't like it, but that's one option. And then if that's you, I would say, okay, let's try and do this. And then on the next phase, I'm going to say, do you remember how I told you to go conservative last phase? Do you believe me now? So this is the communication that I have with the athletes that I work with. It's not always a matter of do as I say, because I know it's a confidence thing. A lot of people coming in, they're not confident to say, I'm going to leave repetitions in reserve. So we're working with humans. It's like, okay, cool, let's try it your way. Let's try and work hard and see what happens. You failed, so are you willing to try my way now, which is, let's go a little bit more conservative. And usually it's a little bit more convincing when that happens. So then the option 2, which I also don't like, is to come back the next week, a few steps back, and redo that, which means week 1 was a waste of time. It taught you a lesson that you're not as strong as what you thought you were, and you should listen to your coach.
Listen to the best coach.
He's all right. He's all right. Anyway, there's your answer. I hope that answered your question.
There's people out there that hate. There's always haters. That's fine.
It was gonna be 18 minutes. It's 36 minutes.
Shush. Fine.